great save, dropping back to 5th in the process. Just a few laps later, while leading, Mackey made a mistake and spun coming off the keyhole, surrendering the lead to John Serino. As the laps began to close, so did Pete Peterson. In an aggressive move, Peterson and Serino made contact. Serino tried to hang on, but looped it. Forced to pull off, he surrendered the lead to Pete Peterson, who in a wave of controversy won his 4th title, leaving John Serino to ponder what might have been. Will this time be the 5th time for Pete Peterson? Find out next on Speed. GT3 is likely to shape up as a battle among division champions. The 2000 national champ, Mike Seifert, is the Central Division champion and the prohibitive local favorite here at Mid-Ohio. He's going to get a lot of competition, however, from the Southeast Division champ, Fletcher Williams, who earned 6 wins in 9 races this season and captured the title down in his neck of the woods. Also, Milton Grant, who is the Midwest Division champion, has got something to prove. 5 times he's finished 4th here at the runoffs, so he's looking to get to the podium before he thinks about a national championship title. Now let's go to my broadcast partner. Here's Dorsey Schrader.
Well, what we have here is 3 completely uniquely different forms of racing. Take this car, the 25. It's a Mazda RX-3. It's an old car driven by Michael Pinniger. Now, Michael has developed this car over the year, and he's gotten some speed out of it. Remember, underneath the hood there is a very powerful Mazda rotary engine. Now, a little bit newer than that is a Mazda RX-7 driven by Stacy Wilson. Now, this car isn't brand new, but believe me, they've developed this car over the year, and they've also found a lot of speed coming here to the runoffs. Now, the other way to approach the problem of how to win this thing is a factory-back car, a brand-new car. This one, the Toyota Pete Peterson. Of course, Pete is a 4-time national champion. Now, who would you bet on to win? Would you take Pete? Well, maybe, but I'll tell you one thing about the runoffs. Don't ever go on the sure thing. This is a tough one to win. Any of these guys are capable.
The Valvoline Runoffs, Sports Car Club of America's National Championship here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, the 39th running of the runoffs, and the 9th time we have been here to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Welcome to Speed Channel's coverage of GT3, the Grand Touring 3 class, one of the most competitive, and as you can tell, the 4-time champion is there. It is the runoffs at Mid-Ohio. I'm Brian Drever with Dorsey Schrader in the booth, and we have a very nice crowd on hand here in beautiful conditions for this racetrack, Doris.
And what a perfect racetrack to hold the championships at. Mid-Ohio, 2.4 miles in length, 15 turns. This is a driver's track. The guys that can make the balance right through all these corners and get down that straightaway fast are going to be winners.
That's Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Now let's set the grid for you. Our Valvoline starting grid shows you Mike Pinniger on the pole by 7 1/1000ths of a second over 4-time champ Pete Peterson. Paul Young Jr. in the 3rd spot with Michael Seifert alongside. And we go all the way down through 25 cars that took qualifying here this weekend. Fletcher Williams starting up from near the back of the field, well, in the middle of the field at 13th, Milton Grant 10th, so watch for those guys to be running towards the front. You met them at the beginning of the show here. Now let's go downstairs to the first of our 2 pit reporters. Here's Guy Hobbs.
Well, we just had the lunch break, and we came over to Pete Peterson's hospitality and enjoyed a fantastic lunch, but not so much for Pete Peterson. This is him sitting in the back of the garage area in his Toyota Paseo. He's a 4-time champion, last year's winner, and was scheduled to start on the outside of the front row today. And there's a problem. They started up the motor to go to the false grid, and well, basically they heard a rattle in the motor. They've been fiddling around with it. They just repaired it. The last touch is done. A new hose has been attached. They fired it up again, and they said, no, shut it down. Pete put his helmet and gloves on, belted up. They're putting they're going to try and put the netting back up onto the window and get him out to the starting grid at least. But problems for Pete Peterson, the national champion from last year, and a very frustrated team working on the Toyota here in the garage area. Further down on the false grid, though, is Chris Neville.
Well, when you look at the GT3 class, you're looking at purpose-built sedans for racing. These are tube-frame chassis all the way through, front clip, center section, and rear end section. However, in past years, most of the cars had strut front ends. Some of the newer cars have double wishbone front ends. That seems to be a little bit more efficient front end and a little bit more adjustability. But up front, Mike Pinniger, he's in one of those older front ends, and he's pretty happy this weekend. He's on pole.
Well, a huge development here as Pete Peterson's crew continues to frantically work on his Paseo race car, and boy, that opens the door wide for anybody else who might want to claim the national championship.
That is Don Preston with the tools in his hand. He is the head guy, Toyota Racing Development. That is the #1 man, and he is at the helm here, if you will, trying to fix this Toyota, one of his cars.
So with this huge development, we get set to begin in GT3, and we can only hope that there is enough time. Well, there's one answer. It fires up at least. Whether it's going to be to their satisfaction and good enough to go racing remains to be seen. So Pete Peterson, the four-time and defending champion here in the Grand Touring 3 class, at least he's going to get going, it looks like.
Now, does he got to be within the 5-minute time rule? If he doesn't make it within 5 minutes of the published time, he has to start at the back.
Well, he started from 5th last year to win the championship, but from the back of a 25-car field is a much more daunting task. They're buttoning up the hood on Pete Peterson's car. The rest of them are rolling off the false grid towards the starting line and out onto the racetrack behind the pace car for the warm-up laps. We'll continue to follow this very exciting development for you and tell you what happens when we come back.
Another new car, huh?
Speed Channel's coverage of the SCCA Valvoline Runoffs is brought to you by Valvoline. You can always tell the guys who use Valvoline. So there is the field behind Mike Pinniger and behind the pace car minus Pete Peterson right now, and he has just exited the garage area and headed out towards the track. No, he has not. They put the hood on, and now it's back down again. Guy Hobbs is still there.
I'm down here with Don Preston of Toyota as they now put the hood back on again. Don, Pete said there was a rattle. What seems to be the problem?
It was just a bad spark plug wire.
How come it took so long to change it?
We didn't know what it was.
All right, bad spark plug wire. Pete is pulling out. They're trying to touch the hood, but he's going anyway. He's trying to make that 3-minute warning, but I think he's too late for that. Now he's stored it on the way out of the garage area, and Pete is going to be flying through the paddock. Watch out, folks. He's coming your way.
Oh, yeah. Well, the rest of the cars are already well onto the racetrack. The leaders well down the back straightaway, in fact, as the tail end of the field makes their way through the keyhole. Dorsey, that's got to be a nervous moment in a few of them.
Well, it's a bad situation for sure. I'll tell you one thing. These are really highly stressed motors, and that was Don Preston. We talked about him. He's the #1 guy working on the car. Bad spark plug wire. I said at the beginning of the show, would you take Pete Peterson? Don't count on it. Don't bet on the sure thing. Out of the Runoffs. Now my man Michael Pinniger's in front.
And these are thoroughbred race cars, as we have already said, purpose-built under what is essentially a spec body or a template body, essentially, of mostly Japanese sedans. We're on board now with Pete Peterson as he tries to exit the paddock area.
Well, this gives you added incentive, doesn't it? His heart rate right now, buddy, I'm telling you, will be through the roof.
He'll be at red line for a while, if not hitting the limiter, as he tries to get out there onto the racetrack. But it looks as though they are going to make him start from the back of the grid.
They will. He'll have to do a standing start out of the pit exit as the rest of them go by. Of course, the rest of the field's got to get the green first before they'll even do that.
Let's listen and see if his engine is healthy.
Yeah, it'll be hard to say at this speed because it's such a jammy engine.
Let's go down to Guy Hobbs again. Guy?
Oh, yeah, Dorsey mentioned Pete's heart rate must be racing. As you know, Dorsey, Pete is one of the friendliest guys out there, nicest guys. And I tried to get a word with him, and it's the first time Pete's ever used a strong word against me, and wasn't willing to talk at all.
Was it no?
Preceded by another word.
No way.
That's it, yeah.
We're carrying a couple of onboards. You just got a glimpse of the second one from Michael Dunbar out of San Diego, California, as he takes a Mazda RX-7. And now you're watching from the cockpit of Pete Peterson's automobile. As the rest of the field goes by, Peterson will be given the signal to start at the very back. And
he will be starting on completely cold tires. He doesn't have the scrub warm-up lap that these other cars do. So not only is he going to be with his heart rate through the sky, they are going to let him join us back. Well, that's good. At least that's safer. He's going to have half a lap, basically. When they get him down the back straightaway, he's going to get a green flag. He's going to be on cold tires.
He'll just have 3 turns. The 2 turns in the chicane that you're seeing right now and the keyhole turn to try to get some heat in the tires. And especially the left side tires are going to be a little chilly. Let's go to Guy again.
Yeah, I spoke to Pete yesterday. I asked him what his strategy for the race was. He said, well, I'm half a second a lap quicker than anybody else. Do about 10 laps, have a 5-second lead, and just hold it at that. Now, obviously, that's not going to work his way. He's going to come all the way from the back, and he needs that half second.
Oh, trouble for somebody else here is Mike Henderson out of California.
And it's a no start on top of it. I was about to say they did not start that race. That did not get a green. It was yellow when he crashed. And the reason they don't start a race is probably the replay we'll see right now.
Here's another look at it.
Well, all out. Look, we got 7 cars right there, but where's the rest of the field? Oh, he just stacks up under braking, I think. Look at the windshield. Just flew right out of that car. So his day is done.
Absolutely done as he backs it in. The Mazda RX-7 will not make the start. Here's another look, right side of the field.
Oh, yeah, see right there, he just got cut off. Everybody checked up, and he didn't. Makes contact with the black car. I don't know what that number is yet, but, well, you know, that's what they had 7 cars that took off, and the rest of the field wasn't with them. The starter said, and correctly so, no way, guys, that's not a good start. Certainly not for the 12 car.
Well, he's going to get going again, minus the windshield and through the grass. But the field is going to go all the way around, and what this does in Pete Peterson's seesaw day is it does give him a full lap to warm the tires up.
And the 12 car will not be allowed to run with no windshield. They'll have to put a windshield in that car, and well, it's got more problems anyway.
Well, there it is. The 12 of Mike Henderson.
Wow, he's in bad shape.
Oh, an early end to a day for the man who had qualified 8th.
Well, you know what happens? There's no green flag, but these laps will count in our 20-lap race here. So some of these laps it's not going to be a 20-lap race. It's going to be an 18-lap race at least. Let's see how long it takes.
One complete lap done. Once again, on board with Mike Dunbar, in his Mazda RX-7. As he's starting from the 12th position.
Right. And watch way up in front there. He's in the 12th place position, but 7 of these cars are going to disappear into the distance pretty quickly.
So your front 2 are Paul Young Jr. and Mike Pinniger. And Paul Young in the 79 car had come up on that no start.
Well, they didn't start the race because everything was out of the line. They weren't side by side, 2 by 2, like they're supposed to be. Look here now. That looks a lot better.
And we should go green this time. Nope, still no green flag. They're still shaking their head, no start.
Well, now this is where it gets a bit tentative because that wasn't a bad start. The first one would have been, but this wasn't that bad. What they don't like is this right here. Those cars out the outside over there, they're supposed to be 2 by 2 like the 3rd row. When a guy pulls way off to the right like that, the starter does not like the way that looks to him. He says, no, I won't take it.
So while troubles continue for Mike Henderson and his crew does the best they can to try to get him back out into the race, they have a long uphill battle for that. So they're working, but mostly in vain, it seems, on the number 12 car, while the rest still circle the track. We'll be back and go green, hopefully, in a moment.
GT3 car for the National Runoffs here at Mid-Ohio. It's his first time to the Runoffs. The interesting thing, though, is it's a car that he has built himself. However, it took Jim 6 years to build it. Jim, how come so long?
Well, it's been a big project. I wanted to do it right, and I didn't have my license yet. I wanted to go racing when the car was finished.
Yeah, you started building the car before you'd even got your racing license.
Yes, that was the whole idea. I needed a good car, a good platform to start my racing career.
And what was the inspiration for the BMW?
Well, that's great, because in 1977, David Hobbs won the IMSA championship in this livery, and now I'm out here with this livery and a 320.
Jim Valdez starting at the back there, along with Pete Peterson. There's Valdez in the blue and white BMW 320.
He better stay out of the way. That's what I would say. Look who's right behind that.
That's Pete Peterson's onboard camera looking at Valdez on the right, Ken Nelson on the left. And let's go down to Guy Hobbs one more time.
These yellow laps are costing Pete Peterson, obviously, positions, but they've just reminded me, 4 years ago, Pete started at the back, finished second.
They're certainly capable of making a run to the front, and with the competitive fire that Pete Peterson has, you know that's just going to fire him up.
Well, all these guys have their hearts at the rev limiter right now because these restarts or no starts just really frustrate me.
Once again on board with Michael Dunbar, looking at the field ahead of him, and now the green flags wave. After 2 tries, the 3rd one's the charm. And it is a full field of GT3 cars going down into the braking zone in turn number 6 with Mike Pinniger in the lead in his red car.
Look at this. Pete Peterson right on board. He's trying to snipe his way through this traffic. And look how tight it is here.
Made a couple passes there.
He's much faster than all these guys at the back.
There's one more.
You can't crash while getting to the front. That's the bad news here.
We'll see, and we'll chart his forward progress for you throughout this GT3 race while Pinniger leads. The man closest to him in qualifying, Pete Peterson, had to start at the back of the field, and he is hauling through there.
Well, he's halfway through the field. He's passed 7 cars already, and we're not a half a lap done through the first lap.
Look, there goes another one. There goes another one. Up behind the 13th place car of Fletcher Williams that started 13th.
Well, it gets a little bit harder when you get to this part.
Seifert. And Pete Peterson, his charge to the front. Well, we'll chart it for you as we go.
He'll be coming, believe me that. He hasn't even got to the straightaway yet.
There he is.
Once he gets there, you're going to see some horsepower.
About a dozen cars in front of him, just roughly.
Now watch, he puts the hammer down right here, and these guys are going to fall victim, I would suspect.
Going all the way back through the field, count the cars with you. We'll take the onboard camera from Dunbar. Michael Dunbar in 11th position right now. We should have dueling onboard cameras.
Aids for the lead right there.
Yeah.
Pinniger getting past.
Pinniger getting past for the lead by the 76 car of Mike Seifert. So Seifert takes over the point. Pinniger in second, trying to challenge for him. We're still searching for Pete Peterson, who came across start-finish line in 13th position, right behind his fellow Valvoline driver Fletcher Williams. So maybe those two guys can hook up.
Look at these two cars right here. It doesn't, no wonder to be. Look at the aerodynamics of the Toyota versus that RX-3. You wonder why it's faster in the top end? Right there, it says it all. The RX-3 will be better, but from behind, he needs a draft. That's like a top 5 hands, almost a brick, not quite as good.
All right. So Seifert leads now over Pinniger. Larry Hansen in the 99 car in third position. He came up from 6th and is running in the bronze medal spot right now. So the leaders crossed the start-finish line for the 4th time in this race that is really only 2 laps old. And
Pinniger has a notion on the inside of Mike Seifert there.
Peterson's up to 10th. And there he is, Pete Peterson running from the back of the field into the top 10 in just a couple of laps of racing. His crew is looking on with a great deal of anticipation here today, and so are we.
3 is a class where the new and the old mix. 2 longtime competitors are once again running for the championship. However, Mike Pinniger has not won a championship yet, and you're sticking with the tried and the true.
Well, the old aerodynamically challenged RX-3 has been a real good car, but hopefully next year it'll be an RX-8. We'll see.
Now, his good friend, Mike Seifert, has already won a championship. However, he's trying to upset his friend's first-time championship run by bringing a brand-new car to the racetrack.
Well, this is a brand-new 2002 Toyota Celica. It's fast, it's quick, and we hope to be on the podium.
2 good friends, 2 fierce competitors, 2 very different cars. It'll be interesting to see who prevails.
Right now, it's advantage Seifert as he and Pinniger running 1-2 on the track right now, but Seifert's starting to pull away, and if Peterson's coming, the hardest job he's going to have is trying to catch Seifert, who's skittering off.
I like that aerodynamically challenge.
Yes, indeed.
Well, brick's a brick by my the way I look at it.
Larry Hansen running in third position right behind Pinniger, and then it is Stacy Wilson in the 41 car that started fifth.
Good run up the inside for turn 1. That was a nice pass.
There's Paul Young Jr. rounding out the top 5. And he started in third, so dropped back a couple of spots from the very beginning of the race anyway. Seifert checking out. There's Dunbar. Dunbar running in 12th position with our onboard camera.
Pete Peterson needs a yellow now. He needs somebody, one of these guys to go up and bump and spin somebody out of juice. He needs a yellow to get back into this race.
3 cars in front of Dunbar right now is Pete Peterson up to 9th. He just put a pass on Milton Grant in the 75 car, and there's Grant on board again with Dunbar, looking forward to the 2 red cars of Rob Warlocki and Milton Grant. Warkaki, sorry, out of Frankfort, Illinois. Hitting the downshifts and back on the gas.
Well, I'm hearing a bad situation for Pete Peterson, and that is that while he was sitting in pit lane, they are scoring him. It's not on a monitor, but they are telling us that he is 1 lap down to the entire field because they had come by him once while he sat there. So they're not, even though those were not scored laps, they're calling it that he's 1 lap down. So I'm sure he doesn't know that, because if he did know that, he'd be probably pulling off the road by now because he can't make up a lap here.
No, and that's kind of a strange ruling because the race really hadn't started. So before green, even the first time he scored down a lap, that's kind of interesting. But there it is. We'll continue to chase that information for you as we watch Pete Peterson.
Well, now they're saying they're going to change their mind. SCCA says, no, they're wrong. That's not right. And so they put him back on the lead lap. So he is where he is, and that's good news.
And that is in 7th position now as he has passed both David Pettigrew and David Goodspeed. So Pete Peterson up to 7th, 6.5 seconds behind the leader. There he is.
And he's coming strong, but like I say, as he works his way forward, each car becomes much more speed advantage he did on the ones at the back.
The next car in front of him is the 79 of Paul Young Jr. I believe he just passed Paul Young, actually coming off the keyhole. And now he's looking at the 29 of Terry Watson.
These cars are very, very well matched, so he really does probably need caution. Look right now, 29 car underneath 41 for third. It's going to happen, but here comes left-hander, side-by-side, enough room. Yeah, they bump.
Yep, a little bit of a bump there, and Stacy Wilson holds the position. No, the 29 comes past him again, and Terry Watson says there were enough corners for me to get out in front.
Yeah, Terry Watson drove it down finally at the bottom. You have to concede. There's no way you're going to go. Well, we saw it happen yesterday, but it's not normal that you can go side-by-side through there.
Mike Seifert still leading by a comfortable margin, almost 2 seconds over Mike Pinniger. Pete Peterson continues to be the story here. We're on board with Peterson now. Jason Hart behind the 79 of Paul Young Jr.
It shows you how hard it is to pass here at Mid-Ohio. He's faster than Paul. Look here, he's going to try to the inside, I would think. Paul won't leave that open, I'm sure. No, chops across his nose.
So there is Pete Peterson in 7th position, not penalized a lap. That would have been adding insult to injury. The injury of having a mechanical problem before he went out to the false grid even. But Pete Peterson, the 4-time champion, is charging towards the front. Welcome back to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We have bedlam, and all of it happened in the area that Pete Peterson was trying to advance through. The 47 of David Goodspeed was behind Peterson, who has come back down into the pits.
Peterson behind the wall.
Yeah, his crew is pushing him back to the garage, and it appears as though he is done for the afternoon, and his 5th championship will not be in 2002.
At least 3 cars off back there in the grass. We don't know that Pete Peterson was involved. I suspect that he's not. I don't see any wrinkled up foot or anything. This looks like a pure mechanical failure, but look at this, going down into the back of the straightaway.
Good racing going on among the cars that are still out there as we zoom in on the 83 of Craig Allen. This is outside the top 10 right now. Got some pieces, parts hanging off of a few cars. The only thing I can conjecture is that Peterson had a mechanical problem, and a couple of cars behind him had to check up pretty hard.
Well, something happened. We'll see, here's a replay of what goes. This is turn 1, so that's just a pure, simple spin. It starts out. Here's a what we call a sympathy spin by the 41. And another sympathy spin.
Something must be down on the track in that area.
Well, it could be that. One or two things. They just bumped again. One or two things. Either there's a little oil down there, or literally what's happened is that these guys are reacting. They don't know that that car's there. They come through the corner, lift off the throttle all at once, and get trailing throttle oversteer spin. Oh, and here we go with the 47 with the whole nose knocked up. That's David Goodspeed.
Yep.
He'll have to get that nuts removed now. He doesn't have to have it removed anymore.
No help needed at that point. First car to spin was the 29 of Terry Watson. Watson had been running up front and in among the top 5 or 6 cars and in front of Pete Peterson. So let's go down now to Guy Hobbs with Pete Peterson.
Pete's just climbed out of the car. He's slowed down on the front stretch. Pete, obviously the motor let go.
I think it was electrical.
Electrical. It was a spark plug wire that was the problem to start with, and then just a continuation of that.
I really don't know. It just went off song when I entered onto the main straightaway. But no use trying to thrash it anymore. It was done.
Now, you were making your way through that field in a hurry. You got up to 7th position in basically 3 green laps. You'll be happy about that, at least.
Very happy. I think we had a shot for the win. They were giving me times between me and the leader, and we were maintaining where we had been all the time. So I still like my chances to win, but it just wasn't going to happen today.
Yeah, you were about 8 seconds behind the leader, but you were gaining on everybody else.
And we were there from the outset, so it was an ongoing thing. If I could, Guy, I'd like to say hello to my mother and father, who are both very ill, and my mother's in the hospital. Just like to say hello to her.
Absolutely, Pete, and sorry about today. Better luck and come back again and try it next year.
Oh, the leader is off the racetrack now as Mike Seifert has taken his Toyota off track.
Wow. Look at that.
Yeah, the Celica gets going again without any damage, but
If that wasn't a mechanical pull-up here, we'll see right now. No, unforced error. Big lead all by himself. And lucky guy not to get in this guardrail, I guarantee you. Unforced error, just gets out of 13, too hot, loses it, spins across the racetrack. Well, tell you what, Michael Pinniger, the ORX3, now with a big lead.
old tried and true, trusty Steed GT3. And Mike Pinniger leads this one. He inherited the lead from Seifert, who made a mistake, went off the racetrack. Seifert has returned in 3rd position, but it's Larry Hansen in the 99 running 2nd right now to this man, Mike Pinniger.
Never has won a national championship, and he will be one happy fellow, but we're not even halfway yet, folks.
The onboard camera from Pete Peterson in the garage area tells you part of the story. This tells you some of the rest. Take a look at the top 10 here and keep your fingers crossed for the guys who are still racing. Halloween Runoffs, SCCA National Championships to decide champions in 24 different classes here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and the one we are currently very engaged in is GT3, the Grand Touring 3 class, where we have had no shortage of drama that began even before the race did, and it ends up with the pole sitter Mike Pinniger right now leading at halfway.
By a lot, I should say, because of all the misfortune everywhere else. Mike Seifert's car, of course, he spun out, but we have heard that the engine sounded really ratty on that. Pete Peterson, perennial favorite, wouldn't start on the grid, bad spark plug wire, runs halfway through the field to 7th. His motor blows up or quits, electrical problem. This man might win his first national championship.
Well, we also had some attrition deeper in the field. Richard Allen has pulled off the racetrack, including Pete Peterson. Mike Henderson is out of the race. Jim Valdez a lap down, along with David Goodspeed, Ken Nelson, Robert Weaver, and Jerry Lustig, and also the 55 car of Red Folia out of Salem, New Hampshire. All them a lap down. No, sorry, they're not a lap down. All the way to Goodspeed is still in the top 10. Watch the results across the top of your screen. You can see the last couple of cars are those of Peterson and Allen that have retired. Let's go to Chris Neville.
Well, Mike Seifert did show up this weekend with a brand new car, and they seemed to struggle for the first couple practice sessions in qualifying. He was the 2000 champion. He was hoping to repeat, and they just didn't feel too good about it, but they hit the nail on the head with the setup today. He was really running away with this thing until an unforced error back in the carousel. He's still out there running third, but his good buddy Pinniger is really running away with this thing. Without a caution, he's not going to be able to catch up.
Seifert's fastest qualifying lap nevertheless came in the first session, but they didn't really improve dramatically through the rest of the week, and so they had to stand on their first day time.
Well, that car suffers aerodynamically, there's no question, because of its body shape. However, it's got a Mazda rotary engine, which is very reliable, puts out a lot of power, and the handling is okay on the car. It's just basically the top end is down somewhat to a brand new Toyota Celica like this one.
Okay, so watching Mike Seifert in third position now. He's got about 7 seconds behind the number 2 man, which is Larry Hansen. In the 12 car, they've brought him back in. Mike Henderson, who had problems early on, we saw most of the hood and the windshield go away. They got some of that fixed, but the SCCA officials brought him in again, said additional repairs were needed.
Yeah, I'd say so, too. There's going to be additional oil needed here if something doesn't stop leaking. He's got a windshield in there now. I knew they wouldn't let him run without that. First of all, blow the rear hatch off of it completely if he did. Here is his wreck, and unfortunately, this is a non-start. He got caught up. He just didn't get on the brakes hard enough, clipped the guy from behind, and backs it into the wall there, basically ending any chance of having a great day.
So talk about aerodynamically challenged in a different way. That is not a very good aero package on Mike Henderson's car right now. For 5th place now, Paul Young Jr. in the 79 with Michael Dunbar behind him and a handful of others as they go nose to tail. Watching lots of action on the racetrack here. There is the 79 of Paul Young Jr. Just ahead of him, it's David Pettigrew in 4th position right now.
So that whole battle, all those cars battling really for 4th place, as they're all right there together.
Well, they just caught up, it seems, with Pettigrew as they were forging their way forward. Behind Paul Young Jr. are Dunbar, Terry Watson, and Rob Wakaki. Those are the ones involved in this one. You can see their names at the top of your screen right now.
Pettigrew's car does not seem to be up to speed compared to these guys.
Yeah.
He's in front, but definitely the cars behind him are quicker. Now, can they get around? That's the question.
Well, it seemed like he slowed up pretty good going into the carousel that time. They'll get a run on him coming up the front straightaway here. 12 laps down for the leaders and for everybody else. Let's go one more time down to Guy Hobbs, who's got an eye up towards the skies.
Well, yeah, as much as things change on the track, they're changing off the track. The wind has really picked up. The temperature has dropped immensely, and there's a lot of dark clouds rolling over the track here. The thing is, these guys, I don't see anyone with any wet weather tires laid out anywhere. Not exactly sure on that ruling as far as they make the change there, Dorsey. You probably know better than that, but we may just get this one in before the rain, but it certainly looks like it's going to come down fast and furious fairly shortly.
Well, a very interesting point at a minute and a half plus per lap and 8 laps remaining. Do the math. They got about 12 minutes before Mother Nature is going to affect the outcome of this one, as we've got a challenge here coming up on the inside of David Pettigrew. Goes the number 29 car of Terry Watson.
That was inevitable. I mean, the 29 car's got a lot more speed. I don't know how why it was back there, if the 7 had some trouble or whatever.
there's a little bit more to it than just the rain tires. They don't have windshield wipers on either.
Well, that's a big problem, and many problems will unfold if Mother Nature decides to send rain our way. We'll have to wait and see if that happens. Best appearing car, how'd you like to have that prize? Well, a $1,500 check from Eagle One goes to Steve Zink from Layton, Utah. The Touring 1 class, his number 34 2001 in Corvette, presented the check by Valvoline Motorsports manager Michael Hartman. And take a look. This is a fine-looking race car, and it was voted by the SCCA here this weekend as Eagle One's best appearing car. Out on the racetrack, Mike Pinniger continues to lead and stretch it. He's out into a 10-second advantage. Things behind him are getting interesting as Mike Seifert is closing in on Larry Hansen for the number 2 spot, but no one's closing on Pinniger out front.
Now, with this much lead, Mike, he has to do is keep his head on straight. Here's the pass 20 underneath 79. He keeps his head on straight and runs good, consistent laps. There's nobody going to catch him.
Michael Dunbar on a marching towards the rear, Paul Young Jr. We had seen Young up there with the 29 of Terry Watson for a while as they were dicing with David Pettigrew, but now it seems like the 79 of Young is kind of drifting back and he's losing spots.
These cars are loosening up now. They can run off their tires, no question about that. Changing weather conditions also, depending on how your setup is, can alter the way this car handles.
On board with Mike Dunbar, with whom he was just racing a moment ago, and Paul Young Jr. in the 79 car out of Michigan. That's the Ford Probe, the only one in the field. Paul Young driving the 79. You're on board, as we mentioned before, with Mike Dunbar on the 20 car out of San Diego, California.
This is, without question, the best battle on the entire racetrack right now. Is, of course, our leader's got a great big lead.
4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. They're all pretty much within the same second or so, a couple of seconds.
And the way they're sliding around, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, and 8th, 8th could be 4th pretty quick here if they have a little brouhaha.
Looking through the windshield and don't see any moisture yet on the windscreen there of Dunbar's car. As we look now at the 79 of Paul Young, driving in 6th place on the racetrack right now in this GT3 class, while Mike Pinniger leads pretty handily, but Seifert continues to close the gap on Larry Hansen in 2nd position. We're just watching the scoring across the top of the screen along with you and figuring it out that things are starting to develop here and there on the racetrack.
And we're going to have a pass attempt here at the end of the break zone for position amongst those guys battling it out for 4th place. I don't see any water there yet. Those streaks you see on the windshield are sticks of rubber and so forth come off the car in front.
Oh, that looks like a drop.
That was a drop right there, by golly. Now, it wasn't supposed to rain this weekend. Of course, I wouldn't know a runoff that it didn't.
Well, it just seems to be a quick-moving weather system that comes through the area. We've been threatened with it all week long, but have not actually had any rainfall during practice qualifying or competition so far. And we go back to the battle for 2nd position, and we told you that Seifert was coming up on Hansen. He's right there. Let's go to Chris Neville.
Well, Larry Hansen is a rookie not only to the runoffs, but to Mid-Ohio. He's never been here before. And the interesting thing about this car, it was built by high school students at Eureka High in Eureka, California. These guys have built 5 race cars. They decided to come and show one off at the runoffs. How did Larry get the job? Well, he's the one who teaches the course. So he got pretty lucky there, and looks like he's having fun with some of his students today.
Yeah, I met Larry Hansen. He's essentially the shop teacher and has his students prepare the race car as a way of preparing them for futures in motorsports.
Well, how cool is that? Now, that's something else. Watch Mike Seifert. He's got a lot of speed coming down here in the brake zone. Pretty sure he'll get inside. Yeah, no problem with that. That's a neat story, you know, building that car and having your teacher drive it. He's driving it as best he can. He's widening some of his apex and so forth. Now, with these two guys, you know, they're going to never have the speed to get to the leader, but the leader would have to make a mistake. But this battle for 2nd is intense.
I don't know. They're within 8 seconds now, and it was way up over 10 a while ago. It could be that Mike Seifert can mount a charge here if there's a problem by Pinniger, or we have to wonder if Pinniger isn't just throttled back a little bit and sitting on that big lead with 5 laps to go. Pinniger's got trouble, and there it goes. As Mike Seifert has come back from adversity and taken advantage of problems by the leader. Pinniger, with problems of his own, now surrenders the point.
I saw the flame out of the exhaust on the straightaway. You never lift on that straightaway, and he has lost ignition. He'll be going into the pit this lap. Right about now, I'd say, he'll make a left-hand turn.
So your top two qualifiers have run into problems far apart. In fact, 15 laps apart in this race. But Mike Pinniger, who had qualified on the pole by 7/1000ths of a second, is now out of the race, and his crew is very aware of the bad news at this point.
Well, he had an electrical shutdown, no question. You can see with the Mazda, when the flame comes out the exhaust, he's off the throttle. And his crewman furiously running down there saying, too late, though, I'm afraid.
And the frustration very obvious in the body language by the man who is working on the car. Let's go to Guy Hobbs, who's there.
I just have to notice his last lap before this one was 4 seconds slower than the previous one. We'll try and get... he's been running 137s generally, and the last one was a 141. Let me squeeze around here and see if we get a word with Mike. Obviously, a huge frustration on his behalf. Seems like you can't lead this race here today. It was between Seifert, Pinniger, and Pete Peterson. And let's get a word with Mike. Mike, you were out leading up front, had a fairly healthy lead, and obviously problems.
Everything was good. Started getting a small vibration, something in the drive line, drive shaft, rear end, something. It continued to get worse. I didn't have nothing left. I'm done.
Calling it quits. Okay, tough luck, Mike. He led here, and it seems like no one wants to win this one here today with just 4 laps remaining.
So further and interesting developments now as Michael Seifert has gone to the front once again in his number 76 car after spinning. Wow!
Pretty loose race car, too. He might have used up his rear tires. It looked like that back end just jumped out pretty easily on the see him downshifting to the corner.
Trying to gather up his concentration again as we are 17 laps down in this race. The leader's approaching start-finish line very shortly, and it'll be 2 laps to go.
He is our 6th place car, so he's, even with that spin, he's still running well.
Yep. Just ahead of him are Rob Warkocki, David Pettigrew, and Terry Watson, kind of spread out around the racetrack. But up front, it is nose to tail for Mike Seifert and Larry Hansen as we continue to watch Mike Dunbar.
He compromised that corner knowing it was going to get loose. We're going to take a look at what it looks like from the inside of the race car when it gets all wrong. Right here, he gets through this left-hander. He's looking all right. He's got traffic. Goes to the outside here. Right here. Turns in. Whoa. Not what he wanted.
Looking out through the windshield and watching 2 cars go by as both Warkocki and Pettigrew got past him.
See right here, he's all by himself. Nobody gets into him. He just turns in. The back end just takes off. And on that last lap when we were riding with him, you can tell now he realizes how loose that car is. He really compromised turn 9. I suspect he'll ride his next 2 laps very tenuously.
Likewise, perhaps Mike Seifert up there in the number 76 car with Larry Hansen all over him right now. Inside 2 laps to go. And there he got a little loose again.
Larry Hansen doing a great job for his first time at Mid-Ohio. This is a technical track, not an easy track to learn by any means. And for him to almost win a championship with a car that's built by his students is just awesome.
Well, it's not over yet, and he seems to be stalking Seifert pretty effectively right now. As Mike Seifert, who started in 4th position, Hansen started 6th. So they're pretty evenly matched in qualifying times, and obviously for the last several laps, they've been pretty evenly matched on the racetrack, too. Once Seifert took the lead, Hansen wasn't going away.
Seifert, brand new Toyota, a brand new car, and against a older Nissan. Seifert's pit guy, and Hansen's wife, who looks like she's about to burst into tears. She's so happy.
Coming up on the final lap, it's 1 to go right now as they cross the start-finish line for one more circuit here, 15 turns. Mike Seifert's going to try to hold off shop teacher Larry Hansen, and you know there's a bunch of young students who have put their hands on this race car that are bursting with pride right now because their man and their car, more specifically, is in contention for a national championship at the Runoffs.
Well, that'd be a neat job to have. I'd like to go to school if I was working on a race car. I'll tell you that. I was 18 years old and a senior in high school when I started my racing career, so these guys got a good hot rod here. I wasn't supposed to say hot rod today, but that's what it is.
It's great to get a jump start on your career, especially if you identify at an early age what you want to do, and then have the ability to go and get an education to be better prepared to do it.
Yeah.
Seifert hanging on over Hansen, who's trying to close some ground in the braking zone. You can see a graphic there of our biggest movers in the race, some of those who have moved forward the largest number of positions. How about Jim Valdez, who started at the very back of the field, has gained 7 spots up to 18th.
You know, when I was in Power Tech, I had to work on Briggs & Stratton lawnmower engines. This is no lawnmower engineer, boys.
No, sir. Some very sophisticated training going on back in California with Larry Hansen's shop students back in Eureka.
Boy, he's not letting him get away either. He's giving him a good tussle. There's no question about that. 2 turns left, though. He's not close enough to mount much of a charge unless a mistake's made. Right here would be the only opportunity.
Oh, look at this. Larry Hansen's wife just begging and praying for something to go wrong for Seifert, but it's not going to happen. He's going to hold it together, and Mike Seifert is going to collect the national championship here in the GT3 class by the narrowest of margins over first-time Mid-Ohio competitor Larry Hansen. Nice job for both of these men. Seifert recovering from a spin to win, and Hansen, in his debut, comes in second. Valvoline Runoffs is brought to you by Valvoline. You can always tell the guys who use Valvoline. Our GT3 National Championship is over, and Michael Seifert has earned his second title. He was second in 98, won in 2000, third last year, and has returned to the top row of the podium, and he will collect a gold medal here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Those are the top 10 finishers in the race right now, and as we look through the results, we see Fletcher Williams moved up after his teammate Pete Peterson went by him. He went from 13th to 9th, and Mike Dunbar rounding out the top 6 there. So let's go downstairs now to Guy Hobbs.
Michael Seifert receives his gold medal, and on top of that, he gets a triple crown this year. The first guy that has actually won it this weekend. Lots of guys were eligible. Mike, didn't seem like you wanted to win that one. Spin and come back.
Give it away. I tried to give it away early. Just my good friend Mike Pinniger, I told him I'd give him a break, and he couldn't take advantage of it, so here I am.
Had a good battle going there with Larry Hansen, and Larry got real close to you at the end.
Oh, yeah, I tell you, my tires, I think my oil light was coming on. I think I'm blowing oil out onto the right rear tire, and so it was slippery out there, so I was just holding on for dear life and just hoping I could pull out a little bit of a lead and then coast home.
Tell us about the spin again.
Oh, well, I don't know. It might have been that oil from the oil tank. But I just went into 13 and just my normal way, got right on the gas, and all of a sudden it just went right around.
Well, congratulations once again, gold medal winner and triple crown winner, Chris.
Back here with Larry Hansen. Larry, you're a rookie to the Runoffs and a rookie to Mid-Ohio. You came up second. How's that happen?
Oh, I don't know. My kids prepared a good car for me. My high school students helped me build this car, and we had another one here, but it broke. But I think we did really good for the first time here. We're very, very happy.
Congratulations. Back to you guys upstairs.
All right, a real nice story there, Dorsey Schrader. As we look at all the results now, we've seen the top 10 before, but for Mike Seifert to come back from a spin for Larry Hansen, I mean, that's what the runoffs are all about, huh?
And a triple crown, since we didn't talk about that, was he won his division, he won the June sprint, and he is now the national champion.
And so far this weekend, the only one to have done the Triple Crown routine. As we take a look at some lasting images from the GT3 class, we want to say goodbye. I want to thank my broadcast partners, Chris Neville and Guy Hobbs. Dorsey Schrader here in the booth. I'm Brian Drever. So long, everybody.